You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia Grant.
Well, good evening, Radio 1 listeners. Thank you for tuning in to The Lyndia Grant Show. So happy to have you here this September 6th. Just coming back from holidays and Labor Day and the last weekend at the beach. And it really was cold at my school today. So I am happy to be here and have a young man on who is an alumni from Howard University, and he heads up a group called the Milken Group, and that is having students from several HBCUs around the country be in a training program learning about Wall Street. So we're so excited about what he's going to do, and he's going to even do something at our church just for the general public. But first, we're going to go to Dr. Julianne Malvo. She is our political economic commentator, and last week she talked all about what was going on at the convention. And we are happy to have her back here now on WYCB Spirit 1340, the Lyndia Grant Show. Let's get started with Dr. Julianne. How are you today?
I'm great. Blessed and highly favored. I know you are as well.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm excited to be here. So much is going on, Lyndia. So much is going on. But, you know, the political season is now officially underway.
Yes, it is.
On Labor Day, Vice President Harris was in Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. She had a big rally in Pittsburgh, and she celebrated Labor Day. And so I want to just take a minute to go back with a little history about Labor Day, because I don't think we all know it. In 1886, there was a riot, and it's called the Haymarket Riot in Chicago. Somebody threw a bomb at a police officer, and they killed they arrested 8 people. There's no evidence as who did it, because there was a large group of people. But they arrested 8 activists, and people considered it a setback to labor organizing. And so from 1886 until 1894, labor activists petitioned Congress to do something about it. In 1894, they passed Labor Day. Now, that made it a federal holiday. Now, the thing about it was, as Vice President Harris said, why do we celebrate labor? She said to everybody, whether you're a union or not, thank labor, organized labor for the 8-hour workday. Thank them for vacation time. Mm-hmm. When organized labor does well, we all do well. And so when Vice President Harris did her three stop tour on Labor Day, 3 rallies in one day. By the way, do you think Trump could do that? Okay, I digress. But in any case, 3 rallies in 3 days. In Pittsburgh, she was flanked by AFL-CIO President Liz Shuler. President Biden was there as her surrogate. Randy Weingarten from the Teachers Union, Becky Pringle, who's an African-American woman from National Education Association. It was just like the convention in terms of the energy. So now it's on. There's only a week until the debates on September 10th. And so what we're seeing now is people throwing shade. The orange man is throwing shade at Kamala with all kind of ridiculous things that are coming out of his mouth. He calls her comrade Kamala. He calls her a socialist. And as Tim Walz, the vice presidential nominee, has said, what's socialist about feeding children? So I think that 3-day run is going to give her a big boost, and it's really exciting to see. It's also interesting to see how Mr. Trump and his people are unraveling. I mean, they're literally unraveling at the edges. They're telling total lies. But, you know, they don't know how to tell the truth. So what was happening with he's not burnishing his reputation at all. In New York, they basically, he pled not guilty. Well, that's okay. But this case is going forward. At Arlington National Cemetery, this fool who was told not to bring cameras there brought them anyway. Many of the Gold Star families are insulted because he basically violated the sanctity of Arlington National Cemetery. As you know, it's one of the most sacred places for veterans. Everybody doesn't get everybody doesn't get buried at Arlington. Your family has to make a case, or your commander-in-chief has to make a case for you to say, yes, this person should be buried here. So for him to violate that is ridiculous. And then, of course, Kamala has been brilliant in my mind. She has been brilliant in avoiding getting into the mud with him. Because you know what they say about getting in the mud? If you get in the mud with the pig, you get dirty, and the pig has fun. So when Donna Bash asked her about her lineage, about her background, and she said, next question. She said, same old playbook, next question. But she's going to have to do a lot of that because right now, like I said, he's throwing shade, and it's a lot going on. With this Afghanistan, with the Arlington National Cemetery thing, what the way he went was to politicize what happened in Afghanistan 3 years ago when we withdrew and we lost, I believe, 13 people. He wants to politicize that, and he brought the cameras, and they told him not to, but he did it anyway. One of his people pushed an Arlington National Cemetery employee, and then Trump's campaign manager had the temerity to say the woman was having a mental health episode, which was a lie, which caused the Army to rebuke Mr. Trump and to say, no, that is not what happened. We value our employee. So that's just one of many issues that's going on. But I said what I had to say about him for the moment. That J.R. Vance, he said that vice president could go to hell. When has our language got such a denouement that you tell the vice president of the United States to go to hell? But, of course, Mr. Vance has no class, and we know that. We're not at all even slightly surprised. We just want to make that note. So I want to get off him for a minute because I want to go to a couple of things that are more solemn. I want to talk about what's happening in the Middle East. 6 hostages were killed, including Hirsch Goldberg Penn. He was the Israeli-American young person whose parents spoke at the Democratic Convention.
Right.
But there were others. They were all young people, relatively young. It's just very tragic, and this may cause escalation because Israel says they want to. What's clear is that these people were killed very recently, and they were perhaps tortured as well. Israel wants to retaliate. Well, this retaliation back and forth is going to prevent any kind of a notion of a ceasefire. Now, a lot of people in Israel are protesting Netanyahu because they're tired of him, because they are totally tired of him, and they're like, we've had enough. So I don't know what's going to happen. Vice President Harris and President Biden have pretty much the same position on this. Both support Israel. Both say that Palestinians have a right to exist. But Netanyahu is insisting that Israeli soldiers remain in Gaza. And that's a prescription for disaster.
Yeah.
So, and meanwhile, of course, it's really kind of frustrating because the Trump team has used this to sort of drill down on Harris as being soft. That's a word they use in one of their commercials. She's too soft. In other words, she is unequal to doing these kind of negotiations. Now, meanwhile, of course, our Department of Justice has brought criminal charges against Hamas. Yanya Shakur, who is the head of Hamas, and others. There's a 7-count criminal complaint against them. I don't know how that's going to turn out. I guess if they came to the United States, they would be arrested, so they probably won't come to the United States. So, but meanwhile, we have taken a position on October 7th, but we've always taken one. There's nothing wrong with taking that position. I just think that we still have to look at both sides. So these are criminal complaints, and this is considered quite serious from an international perspective. Other than that, this is going back to the election again. The debate over the debates is amusing. They haven't decided yet. The debate over the debate is whether the microphone should be on or off. Now, the orange man said he doesn't care. His team say they want him off because they know what happens. He can't keep his mouth shut. So if they turn the microphones on, you'll hear him muttering, talking over her, and who knows what he mutters. And he may even lose it and shout at something while she's talking. So they don't want the American people to see that. But Vice President Harris, as I said, is time enough for these people. So, you know, I'm not laughing because none of this is funny, but we live in a very amusing time. I would encourage people, I know we don't cross-promote media, but Roland Martin has something on his show today of a young lady, African-American, who went on C-SPAN, and she was on with Reese with the receipts. And she just told so many lies in a row, Lyndia. She said that Kamala didn't get black until she was running for president. Mm-hmm. You know, we keep hearing that. She said that she wasn't proud of being an AKA because she never mentions it. That's not the truth. I mean, if AKAs had their way, they would paint the White House pink and green.
I'm telling you.
She shares her sorority affiliation, and you had to see him at the Democratic Convention. I have to tell Star Jones, there's some other colors in the rainbow, sis. But in any case, what else? Other lies she said? That she said that Biden cut money to HBCUs, when in fact he increased the grants to HBCUs by $6 billion. Billion dollars. What else? Other lies she said. But anyway, Reese was time enough for her, but Roland spent a long time today just kind of cutting her up. So like I said, Lyndia Grant is number 1 in my book, but Roland Martin is up there with them. So if you have time to go on the Black Star Network and check that out, you will laugh. But then you won't laugh because people are just telling lies. And all of us are tired of the lies. Just tell the truth. The fact is that she's qualified and Trump ain't. You know, this is out of...
I'm just happy that I checked with my other sister. All of my family got our student loans paid, so I'm just happy with the Biden administration. So thank you, Lord. We got over $1 million worth of grants and loans paid off in the Grant family, so I'm thankful.
Well, and that's what President Biden did, and that's what Vice President Harris was planning to do with the $6,000 child tax credit, which is an increase on what is available now, with the $6,000 credit for if you have a new child, the $25,000.
Oh yeah, she does.
You know, so there's so many things, and so I'm just asking people as you're listening, and of course I'm biased, but y'all knew that. But pay attention, read, don't repeat nonsense that comes out of fools' mouths. And everybody brown ain't down. So some of these people who are spouting these lies are indeed African American.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. J. I'm so glad you came here today, and tell Roland I said hi. I'm glad he came to my event that we had down on the mall with you and all the rest of them.
Absolutely. Right. Take care.
All right. Thank you. We're going to go to our commercial break, and we'll be back in a moment.
If it wasn't for my care coach at AmeriHealth, I probably wouldn't be so healthy right now. As a man, you know we don't get checkups or see a doctor regularly anyways. It's probably just a man thing because none of my partners go either. We know we should, but we just don't, and hope it works out.
So what changed for you?
AmeriHealth assigned me a care coach, somebody that gives one-on-one help, answer questions, explain things, and help set my appointments. She also helped me understand what having high blood pressure really means and ways to manage it so it doesn't kill me. It ain't nothing to play with. If you're a member of AmeriHealth, ask for a care coach. I'm glad I got mine.
At AmeriHealth, if you need a care coach, you can have one. Just call us at 1-877-759-6224 to get connected. 1-877-759-6224. This program is funded in part by the government of the District of Columbia Department of Healthcare Finance. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Washington and former religion columnist Lyndia Grant.
Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a segregated Montgomery bus. In lectures on brotherhood, Ms. Parks often said, "People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired." But that wasn't true. I was not tired physically. I was not old. I was 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in. Driven out of Montgomery by harassment and death threats, Detroit, Michigan became her new home. Rosa Parks will always be remembered as the mother of the civil rights movement. Raised in the AME church, she once said, "I remember finding such comfort and peace while reading the Bible."
Read more in the religion column of the Washington Informer, an award-winning African-American newspaper. We don't report crime or gossip, just positive news. Pick up the Washington Informer or visit us online at WashingtonInformer.com. Call 202-561-4100 for more information.
This is Frank Smith with the African American Civil War Museum in Washington, D.C., located at 1925 Vermont Avenue Northwest on the Green Line. Did you know that a recent study found that children who visit museums do better in school and in life than children who do not? So parents, teachers, and preachers, let's get moving. I promise you, if you bring your children to the African American Civil War Museum, they will be inspired by the images that they see. They will be impressed by our living history reenactors who are always available, and they will be involved in our scavenger hunt that takes them throughout our exhibit. That's the African American Civil War Museum, 1925 Vermont Avenue. Our hours are 10 to 6:30 on weekdays, 12 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. See it. Be inspired.
And we are back from our commercial break. Now we're going to go to our second guest. I am so excited that we have with us today a gentleman by the name of Troy Duffie. He is the Director of Financial Markets at the Milken Institute. Troy is the Director of Financial Markets, and he has a background in venture capital, social market, social impact investing, and affordable housing. He has worked at S&P Global as a climate tech and social impact investor at Next Era Energy Investment. And that company is the largest generator of renewable energy in North America. He's a proud HBCU alumnus of Howard University. And Duffie serves as the head of the Milken Institute's HBCU Strategic Institute Initiative and Fellows Program. And it is in partnership with number 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the HBCUs. And he connects students with resources. Welcome to the show today, Troy. We're so glad to have you on.
Listen, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to be here.
All right, Troy. I'm excited about, I've been wanting to know more about the market myself because, I invested about 20 years ago, and when the market started to go down, I took my 3 big ones out and took my money and haven't had anything since. So it's a shame because why? I didn't know what I was doing. So tell me about the Milken Institute HBCU program. Tell the listeners about it.
Absolutely. So, of course, my name is Troy Duffie. I'm Director of Financial Markets at the Milken Institute. About 2 years ago, we launched a program focused specifically on HBCU students. For your audience, it's historically black colleges and universities. Here in the D.C. region, our most famous one is Howard University, but there's, of course, the University of District of Columbia. There's Morehouse and Spelman down in Atlanta. And so we've targeted students from all over the country. There are over 105 HBCUs. And the goal for us is to make sure that students, to your point, understand how the market works, really understanding what Wall Street is, how money works, how it all fits together, and then making sure those students go on and get internships at major Wall Street firms and then eventually get jobs. And so the students are with us traditionally for about 8 months, and they're educated, they're trained on what it means to be a financial analyst on Wall Street. And then they go on and they get opportunities to go to conferences all across the country. So we're talking about major conferences in Beverly Hills, in Chicago, and New York. And then the students go on and get a chance to intern at major cities and then get jobs on Wall Street.
Oh, it's great. It sounds great because I learned later that even if my stock had gone under, it still was my stock. And I should have just held on to it so it would wait until it comes back. Now, that's one little tidbit, if I'm correct, I should have done.
Listen, yeah, I listen, I'm not giving out any financial advice on the radio, but it's always a good thing to make sure in general that you stick with the market.
That's right. I quit. And so why did you all start this program for people like me who were also students probably?
Yeah, so it's a two-pronged approach for us. About 40 or so years ago, our chairman, Michael Milken, was a magnate on Wall Street, and he was investing in various firms. And there was a gentleman by the name of Reginald Lewis. Reginald Lewis, for those of you who are unfamiliar, is the first African American to do a $1 billion deal. That's billion with a B, a $1 billion deal on Wall Street.
Tell him about
Michael Milken. Michael Milken provided him the financing. Reginald Lewis is an HBCU grad, graduated from HBCU, that's in Virginia, and went on to Harvard Law School and finished his degree there, and was working as an attorney on Wall Street, and then wanted to go from being an attorney to actually conducting a transaction. And so Michael Milken provided him about $1 billion to do the financing. He bought a company called Beatrice Food International, turned it into a holding company, and was very, very successful in that transaction. And so Michael Milken, our chairman, raised the question to us, why aren't there more Reginald Lewises? And so that is our mandate. Our mandate is to create more Reginald Lewises, some 40 or so years later, to make sure that people have an opportunity to go to Wall Street and to do well and do good at the same time. And so we're incredibly proud to be stewards of that program. The other big piece of this is that although HBCUs, and I'm a product of one, I'm a Howard graduate, both HBCUs provide incredible education, right? Blue chip education for students who go on and do great things. What we found is that students with internships often take a little long to start, right? So what do I mean by that? It means that in those first few weeks, you're figuring out, okay, who should I talk to? What should I be learning? How do I get good at my job? And an internship only lasts about 8 weeks. And so every single day counts. And so what we do with training our students before that internship is we ensure that when they start, they hit the ground running, that our students start ahead of the game when they get off the ground. And when they do that, they're more likely to get a job offer at the end of the summer. And so our students are trained to be the next generation of Reginald Lewises, and then they're prepared for their internship and then also prepared for their job.
Oh, wow. This is so good. My son is doing great, but if it wasn't too late, he graduated from Morehouse in 98. I would have had him get in the program. Can people get in that are still not a HBCU that used to go to one?
No, we're focusing right now on sophomores at HBCU.
Okay, all right.
But listen, we get inquiries all the time about people from the general public who just want to learn more about the markets, who want to understand more about finances, want to understand more about money, about venture capital, right? So we want to make sure we get transfers in as well.
That's the kind of thing I want to talk to you about having at our church. So tell those out there listening who are students or parents who are going to send this show to some students in their family, whether they're their grandchildren or nieces and nephews, children, whoever. We want people to share this show. Tell them how they can apply.
Yeah, certainly. So we want you to go to Google and type in Milken Institute HBCU program. When you click on that, a link should come up, the very first link, and you should be able to apply on that link. Milken Institute, that's Milken Institute HBCU program. And you click on that first link, and you should be able to apply right there. The application opens today, and it's open through the middle of October. So we want to make sure to get those applications in. If you're a student, doesn't matter what HBCU you go to, doesn't matter what your major is, doesn't matter what your GPA is, we want to make sure that you apply for this program as long as you have an interest in finance, interest in money, interest in learning about Wall Street. So that's the first thing. And then if you're not an HBCU student, but you say, hey, I still want to get involved, there's a great way for you to get involved. We want to make sure that you share this radio interview, that people can get a chance. If you know some friends, some nephews, some nieces, some grandchildren who are listening, who could be interested in this program, we want to make sure that they get a chance to learn about this program as well. And then in that same link, that Milken Institute HBCU program link on Google, there's a chance to get connected to the program. So you can use my email, that's tduffie, that's Duffie, at milkeninstitute.org. And then there are also a couple of other emails on that website for you to send and get connected to the program. If you want to give and donate to the program, our students have housing opportunities. We give them stipends at the end of the year. And I'll say this as well. I want to thank our funders. We've been funded by the T.D. Jakes Foundation, by Wells Fargo, by the Coffin Foundation, who make sure that our students not only are well educated, but that they have opportunities to go and travel at various conferences without having to pay any cost. And so that's very exciting as well.
Oh man, that is so wonderful. I also want to know, do you have any? Well, I heard you say the T.D. Jakes Foundation, but what about regular churches? Do you have any of those, or just those that have foundations?
No, yeah. So no churches right now have signed up to sponsor. But listen, we would love if you are involved in a church and you want to support some of the students. We are happy to take any stipends, any donations for the students to make sure that the students want for nothing. A huge part of HBCUs is the opportunity they provide for social and economic mobility. That students get a chance to start at the lowest stratosphere of life and then to go to the highest stratosphere of life. HBCUs do an excellent job of training students and giving them an opportunity. And so we're just doing our part to partner with them to make sure that the students that we touch, that we're involved with, that they don't worry about anything, that they go to school, that they go to their internship, they're not worried about their clothes, they're not worried about where they're going to live, that they have a chance to compete at the highest level for these jobs that can really be transformative in terms of wealth creation. Oh, man, that sounds good. I thank you for being my guest today, Troy. And this has really been some great information. And we're going to be sure to post it. And we'll give you a copy of the show so you can also send it out and post it everywhere because people need to know about this. This is going to be a significant way to help build the Black community throughout America. All right, and I thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me, and we're happy to get the word out. All right, so give us your close. Anything else you want to tell us, and then I'm going to close it out. Yeah. Nothing else I want to share. I just want to thank the audience so much for listening and want to remind the students to get those applications in as soon as possible. All right. That does it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed Dr. Julian Malvo and our guest, Troy Duffie, talking about the Milken Institute and how our HBCU students can learn all about Wall Street and become the next, say his name? Reginald Lewis. There you go. Become the next Reginald Lewis, a billionaire. I remember, what did you say the name of his company is? TLC Beatrice. He passed a few years ago. I remember the Beatrice. But the deal is still one of the most successful deals on Wall Street. All right. So tune in again next week and be careful what you send out because life and death is in the power of the tongue. We ask that you will tune in again next week to the Lyndia Grant Show right here on Spirit 1340 WYCB. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with your host, Lyndia Grant.